today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known for over 30 years and counting, I might add, as the Money Lady. And for those of you that have been consistently watching the show over the years, and it has evolved, but my focus has not changed, you know that my commitment remains to provide you, my viewers, with the best information available, the best resources, people that can help you when times are tough and can give you what is necessary for you and your family to survive. That has been my modus operandi, as the Italians would say. And kudos to the Olympians over in Italy. It's cold over there. That's what I'm about. And I haven't changed my posture nor my vision for you, for this great country, the United States of America, that alliance of ideas and ideals that has made us the great country that we have been. And even though right now we are definitely in crisis, I have such a confidence in the American people. The black woman from Kentucky, that's the truth, that we're going to get through this too. For some people, with battle scars, with other people, but I'm telling you, the party is over. And that's what I'm talking about today. The party's over, and I'm going to identify all of the key indicators, and then I'm going to give you some solutions. I don't give you bad news without giving you Crisco oil or something, as the grandparents would say, to help you to heal. Because the healing journey, I believe, is going to be just as long as the journey downhill. Yep, downhill, and now we've got to come uphill, and we got to fight. We're going to have to fight. And I refuse to listen to the talking heads. I refuse to listen to people that are negative Nellies. Yeah, it's desperate. But I refuse to listen, because if we continue on the path we're on, which is, I believe God is unloading everything. He's letting us see how we are. And we don't like it. Because who likes to see how they are? Okay, and I say how we are because we are a coming together of all kinds of people from all kinds of cultures, situations, etc. And we are trying to come together to form a more perfect, or better, more mature. We're not like Europe, which is when Europe was fed up with its white people. Oh yeah, because unless you came from Africa, or unless you came from Asia, you came from Europe. Okay, that's Britain, Scotland, Finland, Ireland, Greenland, Spain, Portugal, on and on, France, Germany, Germany, Russia, Russia. All these European nations, and they wanted you out for all kinds of reasons. Religious reasons, you didn't fit in, your daddy was a little different, the kids were a little odd, but they wanted you, your religious beliefs, the Shakers shaking. Can you imagine that in England with the Church of England, and you just shaking all the time? Oh, yeah, you are out. Or if you like, Queen Victoria said about the Browder clan, because they slept with their kids. Not new. And she said, oh, no, out. You're over here because they didn't want you over there. That's the facts. I didn't write the story. That's what you come from. Black people were over here, some were, and some were not. I mean, for real, in the beginning, it was all one mass. And, yeah, Indians were over here too, migrated, crossed over from the Chinese and Mongoloids. I mean, just what it is. This country literally became a melting pot. But rather than rising to the higher requirements of an experiment of moving people from all kinds of cultures and traumatized, oh, you're talking about trauma. Come on, they worked children in England like they were dogs. Trauma. Okay? I'm just telling you. It wasn't all that. That's what history says. I don't know what you've been studying, but stop listening to the lies and begin to find out for yourself, because if you are not looking carefully, you'll believe that stuff too. Oh, we're going to be fine. Based on what? So we're going to go through that, and the hope is that by my unveiling to you my reasoning and my rationale, and for the record, I'm not original. Now, I was original 5 years ago when I was talking about this. Nobody wanted to hear it. Money was flowing, people was going, blah, blah, blah. But you know, takes a little bit of time. But it's coming, and there are indicators. I'm not making this stuff up. Have you looked at your gas and electric bill lately? Have you tried to figure out how am I going to pay my gas and electric bill and feed all these children and pay for daycare and pay for transportation and pay for food and pay and pay and pay and pay and pay? Nobody has to tell you times are tough unless you don't do math. When you got more out than in, you have trouble. As I was saying this morning to the senior population, and I said this sooner than later, when they start charging you for your medications like you got lots of money and giving you no consideration for your other circumstances, then you're going to have to make some changes. I didn't say it, the math showed it. Case in point, myself. I'm a senior. Can't believe it. You all been watching me since I was, a young senior. I'm my 40s. I'm my 30s. But I am in my 70s. Yeah, good genes. And I will tell you that at the point my eye medication cost $6,000 for a little dropper, $6,000, I said, then I'm just going to be blind. Yeah, well, maybe we can get them to give you some financial help. Well, I'm not ashamed. $6,000 is a lot of money for an eyeball. And they can't give you no kind of guarantees. And the insurance company says it's experimental and we're not paying a dime, period. We're not paying anything, no co-pays. We're not paying. And you're like, I'm going to be blind. Well, you're not the first person that's going to be blind, Michelle. There's millions of people that are walking through the same experience. You can't budget $6,000. You can't. So I said, when they told me, well, we may be able to get some help, I said, how much? And they told me, and I said, well, that still leaves me out of pocket with over $1,000. But I guess $1,000 is better than $6,000, so I'll take it. And it occurred to me, a lot of other people are saying I'll take it too. I talked to another friend, she said, they made me the same offer. And I said, what'd you say? I take it. Yeah. You can't afford to have your stuff on the auction block while you try to figure out if you're going to take it or not. And then I look on the cover of AARP, of which I'm a member, have been since I was 50. That's your sign. When you get a membership request from AARP, it's going to make you feel a certain kind of way when you first get one. You're like, I'm Yeah, you're getting old. Yeah, the kids are right. Of course, they're getting old too. So you can tell them, well, let's just make a circle and all of us say, we're getting old. Right. On the cover of this month's AARP bulletin is in bold print about diabetes, which, by the way, I didn't even know what that was. Well, I'm not by myself, because they say the majority of Americans that are seniors, 9 out of 10. That's how bad it is now. 9 out of 10. Read AARP's bulletin so you can get some information between those two ears, because I saw this coming. Why? Because of the food. Period. Everything they use fructose, which is corn oil, is sweet. In fact, it's too sweet. Once you get off of that stuff, you're not going to want any of it. It just, Anyway, moving right along. If 9 out of 10 seniors are going to have diabetes, and they're going to be spending out of their own pocket close to $150 to $200 a month, that's just for one malady. And you look at the American population, which is 300 million people, and just say that 80 million are seniors. And of the 80 million that are seniors, 60 million have diabetes. And 60 million are spending $200 a month. Somebody's making a whole bunch of money, even with President Biden's reduction in insulin costs. Do the math. You don't have to be bright, and you don't have to be a mathematician to realize that the business of being sick is highly profitable. And how many ways can you stretch this story? Now they want you to do a pump. But my doctors at Cleveland Clinic, that's the best, said, nah, we think the technology is flawed. I'm like, well, you better let people know. Because a pump, you all are saying is must, but you all are saying, well, we were wrong. Well, somebody needs to let somebody know, because that's a lot of money. All I told a woman the other day, and she looked at me and with tears in her eyes, and she said, is everything about money over here? And I told her, but of course, this is America. Everything, the Boston Tea Party was about money. They were not willing to pay the King of England a tax money. They went to war called the American Revolutionary War because they said, we're not paying taxes without representation. No taxes. Got it? Tariffs aren't new. Go to our history. It's always been about money. And who's going to pay the bill? Now, I'm here to tell you that given the fact that they've made all of us sick with their food and air, and then we got the politicians saying, don't ask me because I'm not touching nothing. You voted me in, and I'm going to get my benefits, and I'm not paying a dime, and you going to vote for me again. Not so, dude. I may be dumb, but I'm not that dumb. But what's the answer? So you vote one out, you vote another one in. Who is talking for you? And do they feel a need to talk for you? Because if you're not shaking a rattler and saying, I can't take it anymore. I think there was a movie about that. The guy hollered out the window, I can't take it anymore. And I was like, man, that needs to be on television. That guy yelling out the window in his T-shirt and underwear saying, I can't take it no more. Does that sound like you? Well, you're not alone. And that's the first thing to recognize, you're not alone. You're not alone. I don't care what the talking heads say. I don't care what they say. It's what they're not saying that you need to look at, and what you are feeling personally. If you live in rural communities, I don't have to tell you they're closing down your hospitals. I come from a rural community, and when I realized that the only hospital we had was being closed, why? Because they couldn't afford to keep it open. Who ever heard of such? Well, it's just sick people. Who ever heard of such? Your mama may be one of those sick people. Your daddy. Oh, I forgot. You all don't get into that anymore. Oh, you're too emotional. Whatever. What I'm saying is that nobody escapes this one. Your doctors all quit. They don't want to come to rural areas and do anything. And since there's no hospital, you got to make that 2.5-hour drive to get to them. Well, I tell you what, that doesn't feel good at the end of the day. Okay? And you can run around talking about, oh, I got to feel the energy. Well, feel this. Feel if you don't pay this gas and electric bill, you're going to be freezing your fanny. Okay? Conjure over that while you're frozen. What is the answer? I'm going to first tell you the problem statement. And let's keep it real simple and real brief so that you can understand it and you can look around with newfound, I'm awoke. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. But you better be. I don't care what they tell you to say. You better not be asleep through this one. Okay? First thing is the family. Everything in a society revolves around the family. And I'm talking about the family. When we were put on this earth, if you ascribe to the Judeo-Christian belief system, there was a male and a female who were under covenant, and they had babies because he said to fulfill and replenish the earth because of the war that had taken place and wiped out everybody. Oh, that's all documented. Come on. The earth is not 2,000 years old. I wish we were that lucky. The earth's been around a long time, and it's used to a lot of things, including people that have gone totally and completely insane. And you know what the earth does? True to a female, she gonna get you. You're gonna look up and you can't breathe the air. You can't eat the food. You can't drink the water. And you're like, but how am I gonna live? And Mother Earth will tell you, that's your problem. Figure it out. And we have gotten tired of trying to figure it out because we don't understand that the family is everything. Everything rides on the integrity of the family. That's the unit. That's the unit. And I'm sorry if I sound old-fashioned or old school, but like I tell you, I'm from Kentucky. Just forgive me for being born. But I grew up with a granddaddy and a grandmama and a daddy and a mother that will whoop your butt. They did that back then. I know the millennials don't believe that. Oh, don't hit them, don't hit them. Oh, you better do something before they hit you. My point in saying all that, it starts with the family, and it comes with respect for the family, and understanding that there's honor when children respect their parents and those who are above them. But it's hard for children to respect people that are not respectful. When you have mothers cursing like sailors and fathers saying and doing any and everything, when they don't know if they're visiting daddy number 1 or daddy number 2 or daddy number 3 on weekend visitations. When their mamas, they don't know, is that my mama? Is that my daddy? Is that my mama's mama? The family, the integrity, because the family is an incubator of the values of society. If you want to know what kind of person you're marrying, you better look at their family. That's what we always were told. You want to find out, you better look. If granddaddy's an alcoholic, his daddy's an alcoholic, there's a strong chance that you might be one too. So watch yourself. Don't dangle your body parts in front of things that could hurt you. But it begins with the family and the deterioration of the family, which began in earnest about 50 years ago, if not longer, where it wasn't about the money, it was about the family. People went to church. I didn't say I believe what you believed. And I'm not saying it matters. But there is something to say about people who believe in moral precepts of honesty and integrity and consistency and love. Love your neighbors as yourself. What about that? Well, I don't love myself. I'm in a therapy. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Because the crux of it all is love, which passes through the family and moves on. The family doesn't hurt itself. The family should not have to hire security guards at a funeral. Yes, to keep people from going off in the cemetery. That should not be, but it is. And it's getting back to the family, and the family has been attacked for a long time. This is why I tell folks what's evolving now is just opening up what's already been. Don't be shocked about what you see when child brides are allowed in many states in this country. A girl can be married to a 40-year-old man, a 10-year-old, 9-year-old. There are states, Google it. What business does a man have with a child, male or female? The destruction of the family. Because that event alone is so traumatizing for the child. The child's going to be messed up forever. All these goings on right now, there are children that will be messed up forever, including those children that were snatched at the border. Where the heck are they at? What? Well, we really don't know. You don't care. You not only do you not know, but you don't care because you don't see them as your children. That's the problem. Love your neighbor as yourself. You don't see them as you. Therefore, you don't treat them as you. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're crazy too. You beat your kids all the time because your parents beat you because they were wounded. It becomes a vicious cycle. But it starts with the family. And I'm not offering any quick, I'm just listing them down. From the family, where the father has to work and make a living, and the children get accustomed to that as a way of life. And mom may have to work too because there's not enough money to cover. So that begins to make an impression on them. Their parents aren't there to watch football games and basketball games because they are working or they're tied into drugs or depressed. You know what grown people go through when life doesn't play out the way they thought? Because nobody told you the truth, which is in America, number 2, the economy. We're a capitalist form of economic reality. Profit is everything. You don't do it if you don't make money. You don't do it if you don't get paid. It doesn't have anything to do with social do-good if you're not getting paid. You can't get volunteers if they're not getting paid. Now, I am seeing a softening of that trend where younger people are realizing, I'm not going to get nothing anyway, so I might as well do it free. And I'm like, you should do it free anyway. Because you may want to play that forward so that it comes back to you. The law of reciprocity. What you give out will come back. You give nothing out, don't expect anything to come back. If you give out love and charity and kindness, the law of reciprocity says it will come back. I didn't write that rule. Read it for yourself in the Holy Quran. Read it in the Holy Bible. Read it in the Torah. Read it amongst Buddhists and Hindus. Read it. What you send out will come back to you in spades. So when you see a person that is, and don't get it twisted, I'm not talking about everybody, but many of us are in a reaping mode. You know daggone well you weren't right. You were mean, you were contrary, you were all the above, and now you get to see it against you. Is that fair? Don't you see I'm hurt and I'm old? Wrong time. They had to come back. But the law of reciprocity is not personal. It's to keep you in check, to let you know there are boundaries, to let you know that no matter how hard it looks or feels or appears, if God said be kind, you better get to it. I don't feel like it. Did I? You better get to it. Kindness is free. It didn't cost you anything, but it certainly brings tremendous rewards to your reputation, helps you to form good character, helps you to be a good example to your children so that they grow up understanding that love and kindness is important to the human race, that you do not treat people like animals. Animals don't deserve it either. They didn't ask for this, and they stuck here. So they bite you. You're like, oh, my goodness. I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm going to be honest with you. Animals don't bite me. I have them all over the place. I'm so serious, I wish my yard was not a sanctuary. Because they just way too comfortable. Okay? And I kept telling the deer, you don't really want to come over here because I got kin people that will eat you. Well, we'll just hang out here anyway because we like you. Okay. I'm closed mouth about it. I don't have anything to say. They got better sense than we do. So we're looking at money. Money is the driver. Not kindness, not relationship. Well, money lady, I got to eat. Trust me when I tell you the law of reciprocity works for good and evil. If you're good and kind, you're going to be able to eat, and eat well you will. What do you mean? Well, because of what you've sent out, which is love and goodness and kindness, doors are going to open for you to be able to buy food at discount, at markdown, to be able to benefit from other situations that don't fit in your budget, but there you are. When I was much younger, and my children will verify, first of the month, because I was making money, I would be at the local Rimke market paying for people's groceries. If a woman came in and she was struggling, I'd be sitting there in the chair and struggling. I knew it. I could see it. Counting their little money out. You know, they fold it up and they count it out. And I had already told the cashier, just let her go. Don't ring it up. Ring it up. Tell me what it costs. I'll pay for it. Don't tell her nothing. Just tell her it's covered. I watched over and over what the difference $5 would make in a person's life back then. And I would say to families, why are you going over to grandma's on Thanksgiving when she can't pay the gas and electric bill? Just call the gas and electric company and debit it out of your account. I can do that. Oh, the gas and electric company is never going to turn away money. Didn't I just tell you about money in America? Profit? Pay the bill. If you really want to do something besides showing up eating a turkey, why don't you do that? Oh, no, I need that money. Well, you just told me why you're not going to get any. In your times of need and sorrow, remember what you said. Remember when she gave you when you didn't have anything to give her because you didn't want to. I got to take care of my family. You better take care of your family and some others too, because that's how the vision gets bigger, because it's not about you. He said, love your neighbors as yourself. And if you really a true narcissist and you can't live without you, then you must be particularly generous to your neighbors because you're generous to you. We don't like to look at those sayings other than cute things. They're not cute things. They are laws and instruction to get you through when times are tough, which is right now. The economy is not even a conversation because, not to be snooty, but I did tell you some time ago that we were heading for bad times. Why? Because we didn't make anything. Everything we made was overseas. And as my previous guest said, that was the CEO of Urban Information Network, who was in manufacturing. He came out of a working class experience. He's a tool and die guy. And manufacturing did this country good. Making cars here, employing people here, having your children work here for you if you had a business. That's how we became wealthy as a nation. I didn't say individuals. We said as a nation, our gross domestic product, GDP, was admirable because we worked. Now, well, I've got my phone. Click, click, click. That does not produce income. In fact, it's an expense because you got to pay the bill every month or else you won't have the phone. So if you understand that profit has to be reevaluated, I'm telling you, is it more important to help your cousin who is dealing with cancer and you are real smart? Is it better if you set up a GoFund to help her or to sit back and say, I'm going to pray for you? Oh my God, may God strike you with lightning. This is what I'm talking about, a twisted mindset. So we go to the issue of politics. Poly meaning many, ticks meaning those things that suck all the blood out of an animal. Politicians are many-membered ticks. And when you fool around with them long enough, you're going to look like a cadaver. Well, they lie. Write me a new story, please. Either you're going to make them accountable or you're going to shut up. It's simple. Well, I don't know what to do. Start with writing a letter. Start with calling them. Start with telling them, I am very unhappy. A politician does not ever want to lose his or her job. They like the free benefits. They like the notoriety. And some time ago, I really believe they thought they could help people. But they got caught up in greed and the economy, which is making money. It happens. They're human. Don't go in with false expectations. Go in with an expectation that you're going to have to be on their tail parts. You're going to have to make them do right. Some of them are honestly honorable. They started out that way. I don't know what the heck happened. I don't. But I do know this. You are not going to live off my tax dollars and do me like this. And seniors should be screaming the loudest. Why? Because they already know most of you are not going to benefit fully from Medicare and are going to have to go on to federal subsidization through Medicaid, which is subsidy for the poor. I'm not poor. Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You know it. Come off your pride and see if you're not on Medicaid, maybe you can qualify because your Medicare is not good enough. Or you're not able to meet the copays because they can be expensive. Okay? I'm just telling you. I'm not trying to hurt you. That's with all the carriers except Medicaid, which is health insurance for the poor. So, again, Let's talk about that. And the politicians are making sure that they give you what you want or get rid of them. It's a voting position. You're not offering them the hand of your firstborn child. You're telling them that this is what they have to do. And if enough of you all start saying the same thing, they're going to panic and do it because they don't want to be unemployed. Remember? Politicians. Many-membered, blood-sucking ticks. Now, don't you dare email me or call me and say, well, I like him. That's not about a like or a not like. That's about a do or done. I'm kidding you. You do it or you're done. We need that hospital open. Well, we don't have enough money. Well, you just better find some when we're printing money and sending billions to Argentina and doing this and dropping by. You better find some money for my rural hospital and no doctors. You better carve out something. You better visit the man behind the green curtain in the Wizard of Oz and find me some money to tend to my business and my family. Because that's all I'm interested in, is making sure my family can eat and eat well, because you all eat well. And since we put you there, we definitely going to eat well. Nobody's willing to talk about that. That's why I said the party's over. Accountability is here. If you don't want to hold people accountable, then get what you're going to get, which is zero. You're not going to get anything. And neither should you, because this country was built on very defined principles. If you don't believe it, go back to your history books and read about George Washington. Really read about this man. He was not a slouch. Okay, even though he did take all his wife's money. She was rich. My point is, he was a man of courage, and he made his men understand that this is going to cost you everything, including your life, in the pursuit of democracy. They said, we count us in. We doing this. People died. Okay? That's the founding fathers. Those are the ones that wrote the Constitution. Those are the ones that been used to every kind of snarling rat and dragon. Those men were just wealthy men, which many of them were, but they were also men of common sense. And they knew the things they wrote in that Constitution had to stand. You didn't have the right to run around and say, I don't want to do that. Go back where you came from. That's the story. When you hear that kind of mess, go back where you came from. I know as a black person, they used to say that to us. Why don't you all just go back where you came from? Well, not to be funny, but maybe you need to go back where you came from, because they dogged you all forever. Okay? Party over. Look at the facts. Let's talk about what's going on in this country in terms of debt. There was a time we didn't do credit cards, and we didn't do debt. I know what I'm talking about because I remember saving diligently at Kmart to put things in layaway. Do you remember when layaway was what we did when we didn't have money and we wanted stuff like for Christmas? We shopped early and put everything on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly payment plan until we paid off the bill, and they would have a deadline. Come and get your stuff, or we're putting it back out. And there'd be a line of people. But everybody walked out for Christmas without credit card debt. Do you not read the fine print? I've shared with you all on earlier shows, 34.99%. You better really like that dress, or those shoes, or that toy, because that is outrageous. You're not going to win the credit card game. It's like gambling. You're never going to win because the cards are against you. And in this case, the credit card is against you. We learned in that generation that if you didn't have it, you didn't need it. Does that sound like something you know? And if shoes look raggedy, you fixed them. And if the t-shirt had a tear in it, you fixed it. Okay? That's the way it was. And that when you did your little envelopes, you remember the envelopes? You put everything in an envelope. You put it in a drawer. Now people say, I can't do that because my kids are going to steal from the envelope. You got kids in your house that are going to steal your household money? And they're still alive? Shoot. What? I'd be wearing an orange suit. Oh, yes, I would. Money missing? And you can't figure out who? Oh, no. I'd have to go to the big house for doing something terrible. But that's how we were raised. If your daddy was an alcoholic, your mama knew she had to be at his job when he got the check. She married him. That's her man. And if she wanted to make sure bills were available, she had to hit that money. Now, that's for black and white women, and probably Asian women too. If those were your circumstances, you had to grow up and deal with it. I'm just saying. Now, were you traumatized? Probably. Did you see a therapist? God. Spiritual. Everybody went to church. I don't care what you believed. Even the drunk went to church. If you partied all night, you went to church. Why? Because that's just the way it was. The president went to church. Everybody went to church. Now, I'm watching it online. Or I'm not feeling it. And anyway, God understands. I'm going to tell you as a truth. If I'm going to be recorded, record this. God understands a whole lot. In fact, he knows your end as well as your beginning. That's a fact. He said it. But does that mean that you have the freedom to be disrespectful of the person that gives you air? Now, I don't care what your belief systems are, but whatever your definition of respect, that needs to be in play. Because as children, we didn't have options. If Daddy never went to church, you went to church and Sunday school. Why? Because by the time you're an adult, if you've never had that pattern, you're not going to understand what's happening to you out here. And since you don't know God, you don't believe in prayer, you don't have a whole lot going. I'm just saying, party over. So, emotionally, we know that when things don't go well, depression comes, self-doubt comes, personal rejection comes. You begin to feel, what's the point? And suicide rates go through the roof, which is what is happening now. Because people don't feel they have an out. I'm stuck like a tar baby. But let me get to the good stuff in the remaining time I have. Excuse me. Because in the midst of devastation, dead bones rise. Did you know that? That's in the Bible. That's in the Old Testament. Jews know that. Christians should know that. Dead bones rise. In the midst of horrifying things, dead bones rise. First thing is, and I will say this to everybody, I don't care what your talking heads say, this is going to be a long ride, and it's going to get downright ugly and scary. If you're not a person of faith, can I sell you some life insurance so at least you don't leave the burden on your family from your heart attack or suicide or whatever you're going to do? But let's look at the long haul, because since we're going to be on this train for a little bit, and since the dollar is garbage, and since you can't afford gold, I mean, unless you live in Burkina Faso or one of those African countries that has all the gold. Isn't that ironic? The poorest countries in the world have all the money. And you know why they have all the money? Because when you have nothing, and that's what they were told, they operate from a different value system. In those poor countries, children are everything. Families are intact. They work for each other. It's a different culture and philosophy. But we got everything, but we don't have gold. But we got all that other junk that nobody wants. And we have so much discord, it's sorrowful. It brings pain to my heart. It really does. Because you and I, like it or not, are inextricably tied to this experience called human. I have blood, you have blood. I have eyeballs, you have eyeballs. I have a tongue, you have. This is a human. We go to the bathroom. We do all those things because we are human. Yeah. And people that forget that are really scary. Are really scary. Because you know on a core level that what you're looking at could have been you. And that's what I think with a lot of people. They say, man, it could have been me. It sure could have been. So can you give a high five to being kind, to being respectful, to love where you don't see it's possible, to keep your mental health? Because people that do not have that go into dark places and don't come out many times. Mental health is an issue right now. It is. Suicides are also an issue. But back to the party over. Get out of debt. I don't care if you have to do 2 jobs at $10. That's what McDonald's is paying. Do a double shift. Oh, Miss Money Lady, I'm telling you that when you're trying to get your life into an intentional place and not a place full of fakery, you know full well you cannot afford that Louis Vuitton purse, but you would jack up your husband to get a purse or jack up your family to put a purse on credit card. For what? Everybody can look at you and know full well you could not afford it. So what's the, because I want it. Are you crazy? That $1,000 bag can feed your family, buy shoes, do all kinds, and you would want a bag to display your madness? Oh, my God. I have in my collection, and Louis Vuitton back in the day was not expensive. It wasn't even a high brand. Chanel always was. But I have Louis Vuittons, and I'm telling you, you can buy a Louis Vuitton for $12. You say, man, I would have loved that. Why? Why? If $12 gone, it's $12 gone. That's what you should be thinking about. Money that goes in that direction does not do a U-turn to your direction. So unless you're going to be in the business of selling these things for a lot more than you pay for them, why do it? Why do it? Okay, the thrift store will work. It will. It'll work just fine. Period. That's what I'm talking about. Party is over. Stop playing. Get out of debt. Get other sources of income. You can work 2 jobs. You spend too much time in front of the squawk box anyway. Make some money. Learn to save. We used to save. My dad took me to the Bramble Savings and Loan. I opened up a savings account when I was 6 years old. And he said to me, you make sure this money stays there. And I want you to know that by the time I graduated from high school, based upon me putting away money from my little jobs and stuff, I had a serious nest egg. I won't even tell you how much because you're not going to believe it. But interest costs you if you don't have the money. Interest helps you if you're trying to save money. because it accrues and accumulates. Those are things you may not have learned or been taught, but that's how people got ahead. They didn't spend money, and they saved. By the way, this is the same thing that the Chinese did when they were a baby capitalist country. Yes, they did. They didn't allow credit cards. How do I know? Because I was over there. You didn't have credit cards. If you didn't have cash, you didn't buy it. Or you set up booths and made money from tourists and stuff. They didn't care. They did not care. They were about building their nation and taking care of their children. So, moving on, getting extra income, getting rid of stuff in your house. That'll create extra income. Don't donate it, sell it. Use Marketplace, use Etsy, use eBay, use whatever. But get rid of that stuff so you can have some money. Other people may not be aware, but you are. You don't care. I just heard where retail spending during the holidays was just great. And I just said there's a fool every minute. There's a fool every minute. Period. They done told you this thing is going down, and you're going to defy logic and data. Then fine, go down. Buy some of my stuff. I'm getting ready to have a big sale. But in the 2 minutes that's left, I want to conclude by saying, at the end of the day, all these strategies are great, but your spiritual life had better be good too. If you don't have anybody that's higher authority than you to talk to and to lead and guide you, you're going to have a miserable experience during this economic fallout and decline. You're not going to know some days whether you're coming and going. You're going to look at people losing their jobs. You're going to look at people that told you last year, my job is forever, and find out they lost their job. But the truth of the matter is, you don't depend upon one job to do anything. You look at all your skill sets. You look at what you need to have. You upgrade if you have to. Yeah, learn AI. Go on internet and learn AI. Go to the public library. It's free. They'll teach all this stuff. They got classes. Free. Free. Why not that? Well, I didn't know that. I just told you. Why not that? You may see me at one of them. Okay, because technology has changed. Okay, and I feel more comfortable at my neighborhood library, learning from my neighborhood librarian, who I think is so wonderful. That's just me. But in closing, party over, get with it. Stop putting so much time into television and watching shows that don't pay you anything. Really, that's depressing, but it's your choice. So, in closing, party's over. Do what you need to do to get your life in order. Get your life in order. Get your family in order. Get your money in order. Get yourself in order. Sounds like military? It is military. Stand down. Get it right. And I'll talk to you, hopefully, with you in a better place. Because I'm already on this road. I grow my food. I eat when I'm hungry. I do not snack because the stuff is scary. We'll talk soon. God bless all of you all. And safe travels on the train you're on. Take care. Bye-bye.